Sandy, this is Rich with the morning call.
Hey, hi Rich.
How you doing?
I'm here. I'm up and at 'em.
Okay, with bells on, I assume.
Well, not exactly, but yeah, we'll see what happens here.
You know how poets are. They like fancy words.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. I thought about this a little bit this morning. The more I thought about it, the more I figured I shouldn't think about it. So rather than...
No, that's what happened to me too.
Oh.
I started thinking about all this, like, we gotta have something to say. Oh, no.
No, I'll tell you what, I think I did read that, let me get the exact phraseology of the, I think it was the subjective comforter and the historic Jesus. It was a piece in the back of the child, I guess. And I think this is more experimental than anything else, and we'll see how it goes. One way or the other, we always end up in a flow anyway. But there was, let's see if I can find it. There was a statement that basically was asked by what Bill called a churchman, or we'll say a fundamental Christian, about his relation, we'll say the relationship of Jesus to Bill's insight that what he was the awareness of God, or this awareness right here and right now, and what your feelings on that might be.
Yeah. I think I've tried to explain that to somebody before. Somebody else has asked me about that. I guess for me, and I haven't read that in a long time, but what I do know, and I think what Bill is talking about, is that my belief is that Jesus was a man who understood that he was made of this infinite light, this perfection, the true perfection that is the subjective idea, which is everything, this whole world, all that is, and all that we can't see is divine mind, is the mind of God that we recognize as present right here. So what I'm saying is Jesus understood the subjective idea. It is we are living the mind of God. Anyway, so from that perspective, Jesus, the man who came to earth, was a man of light, a man of truth, a man who understood things, and, he truly understood far beyond what the people of those times could understand, because he was actually speaking what we now call quantum physics. I mean, he was speaking, when you go back and you read the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Thomas is like a part of the Bible that was not as reworked or reworded as what we read in the Bible now. And so you read the more pure statements, the more closer to the source statements in Gospel of Thomas. And when you read them, if you read with a mind, with your mind open to the subjective idea that there's only one, that we are living the mind of divine intelligence, that we are that awareness, when you read it from that, you see that he was speaking from that higher, that view, that truth of reality, of what is real. I mean, can you imagine in those days, 2,000 years ago, somebody speaking quantum physics without using any terms of quantum physics, and yet saying, you came from the light, you shall return to the light, you are a movement and a rest, he's like saying you are wave and particle, you are what is and what is not. He was saying if you recognized the source of who you are, you can bring heaven to earth. I mean, he said these things. Heaven is spread over the face of the earth, but men do not see it. Meaning the old clouded, fogged up belief, conceptual mind doesn't understand that this is heaven. It's right here in front of us. The blinded concept doesn't. It just sees the darkness, sees through darkness, sees the mirror image and believes in it. So Jesus was, this is how I see it, Jesus was a truly enlightened, he knew he was the Son of God. So when he speaks and says, I am the Son of God, he's saying, just like we were talking about the other day, I am the Son of God, meaning that is the truth for every one of us. And he said that same light that is within you is within me is within you. So he was speaking to the people of their true identity. I think it got misunderstood or probably deliberately by the ruling class, because the rulers, the Pharisees, which he even said, the Pharisees will not let you see the truth. And that goes for today, too. I don't know if the Pharisees know the truth, but they certainly don't want us to have our own inner power to understand who we truly are and live our real individual, self-efficient, self-sufficient power that comes direct from knowing who we are, that we are connected to God's divine intelligence. So the controllers don't want us to see the truth because they lose control, because then they don't get their position in society, and they don't get their money, and they don't get their kingdoms, and they don't have all their stuff. So, and people are no longer slaves. So, in those days, same scenario, and the powers that be, just, like anybody, just hung him as a criminal because he was speaking the truth. Of course, that's not what they say, but that's not how they say it. Those people who put somebody out for speaking the truth, they just condemn them for being, against the law.
Heretics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be heretics from a...
Heretics. Thank you very much. Okay, so, exactly. So, this is what happened. So they hung him. He died. Now, in my childlike vision, did he live again for 40 days? That's quite possible. I have enough faith in the truth that there is no death, that somebody who could truly see and know who he is might just be able to live again in the flesh. I don't know. I do know that if you were his disciples, at least there was one of them, Mary, who really did understand what he was saying. And of course they took her out of the Bible, but she was the one who was closest to Jesus, and she was the one who said he didn't die. Now, if she comes running to the people and says he didn't die, could that just be her revelation of the truth, that he didn't die? She knows who he is. She knows that life is eternal. She knows that all things are forever and eternal. So she could have spread that news that he didn't die, like, don't worry about it. He's still here. Love is still here. He's in our heart. Awareness is still here. The subject of truth is ever present. God is ever present. So if she was saying that, they may have, always people want to interpret into tangible form. So possibly that's where something happened. I don't know about the resurrection. I could go either way. I could take either story, and either story would be fine by me. Because truly, he didn't die. Everything that is always was and always will be, and that's how the truth is. Mary knew the truth. Anyway, so now we bring it into today's world, and it has been where they made a whole enormous church out of this one man who spoke the truth. And that's a beautiful honor of then the church stood in the way, once again, took control, and didn't let the people understand who they are. And there's always somebody who is better or knows more that stands between, or tries to stand between God, the truth, reality, and makes us continue to say that we can't get there. We're just sinners. We have no purity to understand God. We have to struggle and, life comes to life. We all have to die and go to, hell or whatever it is. I mean, they created this huge structure that still keeps men bound to the false identity. And that was not what this man, this enlightened being came to say, which is, speaking of, we all have this Christ-like, anointed, perfect, beautiful consciousness, which is God's being. And that's what he was saying. You have it, we all have it. And subjectively, he was speaking the truth. Objectively, people made him the object and forgot about who they are and didn't look to themselves to understand that he was speaking of all of us. And I don't know if that's what Bill is talking about in that chapter there, but I think so. I think pretty much. I haven't read it for a while, but and maybe I should have, but that's really, for me, exactly what Bill is saying, because I do know that Bill always said, he kind of said, I think even in there, it's something about, he kind of jokes a little bit about, do we get to God not through Jesus Christ, but certainly with Jesus Christ. I mean, that's a lovely statement, I mean, to understand that there was a message here that is about the truth of who we are, and not about so much who this man was, but that we are all that same light, and we can live that. And that's what he came to say, that you live. This is, and the resurrection is the subjective truth about being born again, rediscovering our true identity. And it is being born again. You, rather than living in darkness and fear, you come alive again, and the world is heavenly, because what is in my heart I see in the world, and it's reflected there. So it's all subjective. It is all the divine truth of God being spoken of, but I keep looking at this sort of like the powers that be, the darker powers do not want, deliberate or not, I have no idea, but something somewhere doesn't want the truth to be known. But it can't help it. I think in these days, it's arriving. There are too many of us who understand now, and maybe science has made that happen. I don't know why, or maybe it's just the blooming of the tree. Maybe it's the written destiny of how the divine evolution of who we are is supposed to happen. But I think the recognition of our true identity is happening now. Here a little, there a little, and Bill described it like popcorn popping. It's like all of a sudden this pot of popcorn is just exploding with people who are getting it, people who are waking up. So that'll shift the powers, and I keep seeing that's what happens, and it happens every time. And so it's a story of how the light comes to us, and then something comes along and says you can't do that and takes it away, or that kind of a story of trying the battle of good and evil.